Hello, everyone. So I'm doing something a little different. I usually type out my posts, but it's a lot to type. And I was actually sharing with one of my friends the other day. I think we were talking for like an hour about this. I was just sharing it with her. But I had a few people recently on my post, and they were talking about they didn't believe in witchcraft. And I'm like, well, if you are a believer, then you should, because it's all through the Bible. Like, it's all through it. And, God warns against witchcraft along with other things. And it's more than just, spells and, burning stuff and, what people normally think, like potions. There's more to witchcraft. Manipulation is witchcraft, rebellion is witchcraft. And I'll throw in a few scriptures that kind of reflect that. But I want to share a personal story, and also this isn't a video to condemn. I usually say that a lot because usually stuff that I post or I write about are things that I have been through myself. All right, so I'm not judging or looking down on people who are doing it. All right, because it did take me a while to come out of it, and a lot of the stuff I already knew was wrong, but I did it anyway. All right, sometimes you have to kind of remind yourself, I need to get back to God. All right. So what I want to kind of talk about as far as my experience with it, I remember growing up. I think I remember going to this little tarot card reader's house. I want to say it was off 58. I can't remember, over there in like Ridgeway area. Those that know what I'm talking about in Virginia. Um, and it was always like, it was always kind of creepy. Um, but I just remember like witchcraft, all that stuff was just wrong. So my experience was I was deployed. I came back because I was expecting you get like 3 days to come back to the country. So I came back, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, I'm about to go to this tarot card reader to get my poems read or cards read." And she's like, "Do you want to ride with me?" And I'm like, "Not really, but I'll go." And I was just going along. I shouldn't have been there, but I went. And then as we're riding up, the house looked creepy. And again, this was in El Paso. So I was in El Paso, Texas. But the house didn't have no grass. Well, nobody really has grass, but it just looked worse than, there was nothing in the yard, no rocks, no nothing. And it was just creepy. And I don't even know where we were. But again, I was just riding along. So we went in, she got her cards read. I'm sitting in the living room or whatever that was. There wasn't no furniture. I don't know, it was just weird. And the lady, she didn't speak any English, so she needed an interpreter. So not only is she reading, but there's someone else there listening to whatever she finds. So I'm just sitting out there, and then she comes out finally, and then she's like, "You want yours read?" And I was like, "No." But then she's like, "Come on, shoot. No, she's accurate. You're already here." And I don't know why I said yes, but I did. So I went in there and I got my cards read, and she was pretty accurate. But again, it was just something not right. She had this creepy cat in the window looking at me, and it looked like he was a human and a cat body just watching me. And I'm like, "Does that cat have to be there?" She's like, "Oh, he's fine." And I was like, "Oh no." The cats, but that cat in particular was creepy. He was just looking. And she read my cards. I can't really remember everything that she said, but whatever I was going through at the time, she was talking about, it was accurate. So we ended up going back. You know what I'm saying? So we went back. She read my cards again, and I was going through a lot, like a major decision I had to make, and she was talking about it. And she was talking about this one particular person. She was like, "This person really loves you, da 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 da." Then all of a sudden, I get a text from the person, and it was like, "I love you." And I was like, "What the? This is legit." But again, there isn't. Yeah. So I was like, "Okay." So as I'm leaving, she's like, "Do you want me to cast any spells on anyone? And I was like, no. And she's like, is there anyone that you want to think about you? All you need to do is just give me their picture. I'll put it on this glass of water and this little stick. I was like, yeah, that's a lie. I'm not doing that. I was like, why would I want somebody to think about me? That, you know what I'm saying? No. So I left. I never went back to her. So then my friend took me to another lady, and I don't know what she was doing. So I didn't go back to her. And then I went on my own to this man who was almost at the border of Mexico. If anybody's been El Paso, like, if you take that wrong turn, you're in Mexico. I've done it a few times. But he was like right there by the bridge and that little cemetery. And it was just weird. I was like, why am I here? Like the whole time I was like, Lord, if you get me out of here, I'm done. But I was really speaking out of fear. Like I wasn't really done. But I was in there and he's bringing out these candles and made me spit in this napkin. It caught on fire. I was like, what is that? He said, oh, that means you have a spirit in you. And it turned black and started like crawling on the table. I mean, I was like, okay, this is a lot. And he's like, I'm going to burn this thing. You need to take this to the graveyard at midnight and then you can get rid of it. I'm like, I'm not going to no graveyard or anywhere after midnight. But he said, and you got to be by yourself. I was like, nope, y'all ain't about to snatch me up. So that's exactly what I was thinking. And it was right there by the border. I was like, nope. And I was really like, God, please get me out of here. I was looking around, like, hope nobody comes out from the back. But yeah, all the candles and stuff he had going on. Yeah, that was too much. But what got me to be done, because when you give the devil room, he just keeps coming back. And I'm looking at the scripture, Ephesians 5:11. He said, have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Like I was actually fearful of what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? But the last time I went to one, I went with the same friend again. I went with her, and it was a house full of people waiting to get their cards read. And I thought that was very strange. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait here. And again, I'm expecting, right? But I'm not showing. I'm only like 6 or 8 weeks at this point. And I didn't tell anybody there. I'm just sitting there waiting on her. I really intend on getting mine read that day. She really wanted to go. I'm like, how does she know all these people? But anyways, she came out and it was people waiting. But she said, hey, I can do yours real quick since you were with her. Because she had an appointment. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. And then I was like, you know what? Okay. Again, I went in there. So I sit down, and she was pretty legit. Like, she's like, hey, is this female, with your husband? She looks like this, long hair. She's Hispanic. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, are you thinking of her name? And she's like starting to talk. So I'm like, So then she stops in the middle of reading I had picked cards, she had laid them out, and she was like pointing to them. And she's like, wait, I gotta stop. She's like, are you expecting? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, dang, she legit. But she's like, yeah, we gotta stop. And I was like, whoa. I said, okay. She's like, if you're expecting and you're dealing with this stuff, like the cards, talking to the dead and, any form of like witchcraft. She's like, you're putting your child in danger. She said the last lady, she says it actually happened a couple times, but the last lady I just read, I asked her if she was expecting. And she lied to me and said, no, I'm not, because she really wanted her cards read. And she ended up miscarrying. And I think it happened again. And she said this happens often. She said that's something you don't play with is, the other realm and you're carrying a child. And I don't know if I repented right then, but I didn't hear to say nothing else. I got my little stuff, and I was like, let's go. I was repenting to God. I was like, God, what have I done? Like, I was like, no. And I was like, always praying. I was like, please, God, let my baby survive. Even throughout the whole pregnancy, I was thinking, man, if something happens, it's because of me. You know what I mean? I opened those doors for the enemy to come in. But I also thought about something that happened before that, right? As soon as I came back from deployment, I think that weekend I went to a women's conference, and there was a prophet there. I don't know who she was. I never seen her. We were all praying, and then she looked at me, and she was like, she's like, you have a lot of things always coming at you. And she said, but you always come out on top. And then she's like, for that to continue to happen, you have to always make sure you're doing the right thing. And I look like, okay, because it's true. Everything, y'all just don't know. But it's so many things that I got hit with, even now. But as long as you're doing the right thing, not seeking revenge, actually praying for those people. How many people can say they pray for the enemies, all right, or pray for their leaders, or those people coming after you, not seeking revenge? Like, that's very important, all right? While they're over here scheming, I'm over here building, all right? That's for somebody. But, and she was like, as long as you're doing the right thing, you're always going to come out on top. He's always going to have you. And I'm like, okay, but that night, it kind of reminded me of a couple things. When she stopped and said, "Are you carrying a child?" First of all, I had to repent, and I thank God for intervening. And people think, oh, witchcraft is powerful, and Satan, and there's Satan worshiper. I know there's witches on my page. They follow me. I look at their stuff and I see what they're doing. I pray for y'all. But there is a power. God is more powerful than that witchcraft. The fact that that medium, that fortune teller, card reader, had to stop. Like, she could have kept going. She could have said, man, bump this. I don't want her baby to survive. But she had to stop, acknowledge it. And I had a choice. I could have lied and said, you know what? No. Just to hear what she had to say, because I had tickled ears. Because everything she was saying thus far was correct. It was spot on. But I didn't need her to tell me. I already knew that stuff that she was telling me. You know what I'm saying? But it was just the fact that I was there and I was intrigued. And then giving the devil room. This was like the 4th or 5th time I went to a tarot card reader within like a month or two. And I had to pay for this stuff. I'm wasting money on what God gives us for free. He gives us that discernment. We have prophets, the true prophets, who are talking to us. We don't need to pay nobody to tell us something. And then still, at the same time, you're delving in that world of witchcraft. And I know a lot of people don't believe in it, but it exists. It definitely exists. All right, it's around us all the time. And if you ain't got the spirit of discernment, you're not going to see it. You know what I'm saying? 1 Samuel 15:23, rebellion is as sinful as witchcraft. Being rebellious. I posted a while ago about being disobedient. It's rebellion, and it's witchcraft. All right? Leviticus 19:26, do not practice fortune telling or witchcraft. All right? Same thing with the horoscopes. I was big into that. I'm like, as soon as I would wake up in the morning, let me see what my horoscopes say. I didn't even pray first. I didn't even see if my legs worked yet. I'm up here looking at my horoscopes. And next thing you know, 20 minutes done passed. And I'm comparing, looking at next day. Like, it was just a mess. All right, I had to let that crap go. And then Revelation 21:8. But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexual immoral, those who practice magic arts, the adulterers, and all liars, they will be consigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. This is pretty much saying when you die, if you are doing any of this stuff, all right, that I've listed, when it's your time to go, you ain't gonna make it. All right. And that first one, it said the cowardly. All right. And people can talk about all this, oh, they can talk about homosexuality, being a murderer, being a liar, being a thief, being witchcraft, worshiping things, worshiping your skin color. All right. A lot of y'all lying. But that first one, the cowardly, especially if you're a believer and you won't speak up, that's you. Being lukewarm, you're not going to make it. I say we're not going to make it because I'm not perfect. I'm working on myself. All right. But again, going back to my story, that was the last time I ever even thought about going to see a medium, a tarot card reader, or what. I'm like, nope, you ain't have to tell me nothing else. All right. But I thought about that story, and I was talking to my friend Antoinette the other day about it. I'm gonna read it. All right, I'm gonna read it to you guys, and I'm gonna get off of here. In 1 Samuel 28. All right, and then get the whole story. I just urge you to go read it. All right, a lot of people think these stories are made up. Definitely not. All right, you can definitely apply those today. All right, Saul saw the Philistine army. He was afraid. Terror filled his heart. I'm starting verse 5. He inquired of the Lord, but the Lord did not answer him by his dreams or a ram or prophets. Saul then said to his attendants, go find me a woman who's a medium, so I may go and inquire of her. So he pretty much, everything else was exhausted. His last resort was talking to a medium. All right. There is one in Endor, they said. So Saul disguised himself, putting on other clothes, and at night he and 2 men went to a woman. He had to disguise himself. You had to do all that because you knew it was wrong. Consult a spirit for me, he said, and bring up for me the one I named. But the woman said to him, surely you know what Saul has done. He has cut off the mediums and spirits from the land. Why have you set a trap for my life to bring about my death? That's the medium talking. And I thought about the palm reader. She stopped. She's like, wait a minute. It's kind of almost like God was like, don't you touch her. Like, at least give her a choice to say, is she going to be obedient or disobedient? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I took from that. And then Saul swore to her by the Lord, as surely as the Lord lives, you will not be punished for this. Then the woman asked, whom shall I bring up for you? Bring up Samuel, he said. When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out at the top of her voice and said to Saul, why have you deceived me? You are Saul. The king said to her, don't be afraid. What do you see? The woman said, I see a ghostly figure coming up out of the earth. What does he look like? He asked. An old man wearing a robe is coming up, she said. Then Saul knew it was Samuel, and he bowed down and prostrated himself with his face to the ground. Samuel said to Saul, why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? I am at great distress, Saul said. The Philistines are fighting against me, and God has departed from me. He no longer answers me, either my prophets or my dreams. So I have called on you to tell me what to do. Saul said, why do you consult me now that the Lord has departed from you and became your enemy? The Lord has done what he predicted through me. The Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hands and given it to one of your neighbors, to David, who he was trying to take out. Because you did not obey the Lord to carry out his fierce wrath against the Amalekites, the Lord has done this to you today. The Lord will deliver both Israel and you into the hands of the Philistines. And tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. The Lord will also give the army of Israel into the hands of the Philistines. Immediately Saul fell full into the ground, filled with fear because Samuel's words. His strength was gone, for he had not eaten nothing all day and all night. All right, and it's pretty much saying he couldn't eat because, he's stressed out. He was depressed. He knew he was about to die because he was being disobedient to God, who told him to take out this army. He didn't do it. So, and he was going against, God's chosen. So, that's what happens. God pretty much shut off from him. Nothing more he was going to do. And really, long story short, he committed suicide. All right. But again, being disobedient. All right. They say obedience, right, is better than sacrifice. So I just wanted to share that story for those who think, you know, dang, Fleece ain't never did nothing. Yes, I've done stuff. I ain't doing it no more. All right. Once I learned that's it. I'm not doing it no more. All right. This stuff is real. You got stuff that your grandparents and parents have done, and you're paying for it. All right, because of that witchcraft. There's a lot more other stuff I can say, but I'm not gonna say it right now. But just know that you do need to be keep your heart guarded. Watch what you're looking at, the people you're around, listen to what they're doing. Again, if you don't agree, because you don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. All right, there's a lot going on, but I just want to share that because it seems like a harmless, it's entertaining, it's fun, it's no harm in it, but it leads to death. All right, for eternity. All right, and if you have done it or currently doing it, just stop. All right, ask God to give you strength to let that stuff go and repent and don't do it again. All right, and I hope that helps someone. My son as well. All right, he's 10. His name actually means warrior. All right, but I'm telling you, through that pregnancy, I really, I was worried, that I messed something up. Um, but he's healthy. He's my twin. All right, he's the one who looks just like me. But I do hope that helps someone. Like I told my husband and one of my friends, it took me a while to talk about this because I was like, oh, it's not that serious. But it just kept coming up in my spirit that I need to share because it's not about us. At the end of the day, someone needs to hear it. All right. There's men and women and children who delve in witchcraft. All right. And it's just something that need to keep the stuff you watching. These little cartoons, almost all of them have magic spell, potion stuff going on. I don't even turn them on. All right. A lot of these movies, TV shows, like all of them have a ghost or a witch or something going on. It's just in plain sight. All right. Like I said, just keep your heart guarded. All right. But God bless you all. I love you. And let me know what you think. You can always reach out to me if you need to talk or if you need prayer, because I need it as well. All right. Love you guys. Bye.